Okay, I think we are live. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Welcome to the second episode of Hijab Talk Show live. So, those of you joining us live, please do say salams in the comments on wherever you're joining us on Facebook um, or YouTube. And we will start shortly. Today, we have special guest. This is Asmaa from Bliifee here. If you haven't checked her YouTube channel out, do check it out on YouTube. She makes amazing videos, lots of life hacks or deen hacks. I won't call it hacks though, but very practical advice that I think everybody will benefit from, inshallah. One of my favorite ones was your tahajjud advice. And I especially love the one which is actually really practical, that drink water before you go to bed. Sorry, you were on mute. Oh.
Yes, that's right. Thank you so much, first of all, for introduction, and also absolutely like the water hack just always works. It just never fails. Yeah. And the tahajjud one, I just somehow discovered it, and then turns out that's what the Prophet ﷺ did as well. And I'm like, wow, it works.
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
So, alhamdulillah. Check the YouTube channel out, Bliifee. And it took me a little while to figure out the meaning of the name. But maybe you can share, why did you call it that? Oh, muted again, sorry.
Sorry, no, I muted myself and I wasn't able to unmute. Yeah, so Bliifee is like a word I came up with. Pretty much beliefs plus lifestyle, because I wanted to initially talk about how we can balance the deen and dunya. So deen and dunya, like beliefs and lifestyle, so like without compromising on either of them. So that's what Bliifee is. I actually I was going to name it Be Life, and then I tried out like different spellings of it on a piece of paper, like so many different spellings, brainstorming it. And then one day my little brother comes along, picks up the paper, he's like, what is Bliifee? I'm like, wow, I never thought of that pronunciation at all. I was like, Be Life, by Leafy. I don't know. I just kept like thinking of these different words, and he invented the pronunciation, I can say, but the word is completely made up, and it's a mashup of beliefs and lifestyle.
Okay. So credit to you for creating that word.
Thank you.
Okay, mashallah. Walaikum assalam, Sister Aisha. I think I missed some salams there, but salam alaikum, everybody here. Sister Romaisa, Shermeen, walaikum assalam. And I see people watching on Facebook. Please do say salams. People watching on YouTube, please do say salams. We couldn't go live on Instagram, but inshallah we'll load it up there later on. Okay, so please do say salams, return our salams. You have to return our salams.
Yeah.
Right? And get your good deeds for saying salams. So
Yes.
just again, I want to explain why we started this show to everybody. There is, I think, huge number of videos, everybody would agree, on YouTube about wearing hijab, and mostly concentrated on how to wear hijab, different styles of hijab, which is great because there are lots of people like I was who, when they start wearing hijab, they have no idea how to put it on. I remember when I first decided to wear hijab, I didn't even know where to get the pins from. So I went to there's in Australia we have this stationery thing called Office Works.
Yes.
So any Aussies know, right? And so I bought the paper pins.
Very creative.
Paper pins from there, and then I'm like, I don't know, these ladies in the YouTube videos are using pins. I don't know why they don't stick in the hair. They were so small and so
Oh.
but I put like hundreds of them. Anyway, so they are important, but point I feel like what we are really missing, which is much more important, is the reason we wear hijab, our hijab experiences. It's not always a piece of cake wearing hijab, and it's always not as scary as a lot of the stories might make us feel as well. So that's the type of videos, the content we wanted to provide, where young girls or old women like me can watch it, and we can hear from others, and we can share. If you have any questions, you have any thoughts, bring it on, inshallah, in the comments, and share them. So it's an inspiration for those who are still thinking about it or struggling with it, and just a conversation about our experiences, inshallah. So that's our effort. And Alhamdulillah, Sister Asma has generously given us her time today. We appreciate that. And without further ado, we'll begin. I'm
Inshallah.
still waiting to see more salams, by the way. So please do say salams in the comments. Okay, so Asma, if you could begin by telling us a bit more about your background, what do you do, what is your education, and let people know that you are a normal person.
Yes, sure. So my background is I'm Australian, and my parents' family origin is from India, and I was born and brought up in Dubai, so I've got like a cultural mix going on there. And what I've studied is, alhamdulillah, I finished high school, I finished university, I've graduated with a bachelor's in IT. Alhamdulillah. Due to COVID, I recently got my certificate. I graduated in 2019. Like I finished my last exam in 2019, and I recently got my certificate in 2021. So it's been a long time. And apart from that, I run the Bliifee YouTube channel because I wanted to share with people how you can do both Deen and Dunya without compromising on any of them. So that's my background.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khair. I got these questions that I'm going to ask you. I got them from some of my young teenage students. And so in the beginning, they had these some questions which they thought were important to establish the speaker as a normal person.
Sure.
So here goes, more normal questions. What is your favorite hijab color?
Oh wow, okay. I love wearing blue because that's my favorite color. I love blue, and I love other bright colors like this purple I'm wearing. Sometimes I feel like wearing red, and I think those are the three main colors I wear: blue, red, purple, pink. Those are my favorite hijab colors, and I like
Okay.
blacks when I wear the abaya. Black goes really well with it.
Right. Okay. What do you do for fun?
For fun, I love reading books. I like watching movies, entertainment, YouTube videos. There's so much to learn, while being entertained as well. So that's what I do for fun. And right now it's winter. Otherwise, during summer, I like going out. I've picked up on skating. Inshallah, I'll do more of that. Roller skating.
Right.
Swimming, which I haven't been able to go for in a long time because of COVID.
Yeah.
Beaches and stuff. I like doing those things for fun.
Okay. So it's possible to do like sports stuff while you still wear hijab.
Completely, definitely. Like, obviously, people have a very, a lot of people with the non-hijab mindset think that we have to wear a certain set of clothes, like it has to be shorts, it has to be tight. But depending on the sports, they have some requirements, but you can always tweak it along according to your definition of modesty. And like with swimming, obviously, there are things like burkini, alhamdulillah, that have been introduced recently, and it's nice. And there are also women's only swimming sessions, sometimes women's only pools that we can go to. So swim, and there's horse riding people do, and you don't really have to like wear anything special for horse riding, I think. So many sports, like I think we can definitely do it with the hijab. And if someone is preventing you and you do sports for fun, I don't think there should be any reason to not do it with the hijab. Yeah.
So when you, for example, if you go skating, do you find that people are staring at you, that why is this lady in hijab doing these?
So I haven't done skating as much to be able to answer that question, but I also do
Or any other sport, like if you go do any kind of sport, running even. I remember once I got stopped while I wasn't even running. She was running. I was just walking. Like, oh, do you run? But you can't run with hijab on. So do you ever
Yeah, so I do scootering. You know, the stick one that you hold and then you like do that and run. Yeah, I mean go on the scooter. So I do that, and people do stare at me because I look like a small kid, or like just passing by the street. Although I don't know why, but yeah. Anyways, and I used to wear the abaya before, and I think I stopped wearing it because the abaya got stuck in the wheel and tore. So I think since then I've been adopting a different outfit as well that can be suitable for scootering, so which is safe for me as well as for people around me. And I do like wearing the abaya when I go to Friday prayers and stuff. But other than that, when it comes to sports, people stare, but I don't know if it's because of the hijab or because of something else. I just look like a funny creature just going down the street. Yeah.
Okay, so on that, I'm just curious. I mean, this is a bit of a disconnected question, but when you first wore a hijab, especially here in Australia, like your first day, were you more conscious that everybody's looking at me compared to later on?
Yeah, so the first day I wore my hijab was also actually the first day of my school. So it was, I think, people were looking at me because I'm new. At the same time, alhamdulillah, the school I went to has a lot of hijabis, a lot of Afghan people from Afghan backgrounds, Arab backgrounds, Indian, Pakistani as well. So mashallah, there were so many hijabis, and I felt I belonged there. And people
That's
didn't
wonderful.
stare. Yeah, alhamdulillah. So people stared like, they want to get to know me as a new student, new friend that has come into school. But other than that, I didn't feel out of place at all, alhamdulillah. Like, yeah, that was
Okay.
really,
No.
yeah.
I think it's a lot in the head of the person. I don't know if people actually are staring or not. Because I remember the
Yeah.
first day I wore hijab, I was like, I went out for lunch, and obviously at work everybody was asking like, what happened to you? Is it a bad hair day? So,
No.
are you celebrating something? And yeah, one guy at my work for a week, he thought that I'm just having like had a bad haircut or something.
Oh
A
God.
week later, he thought, are you gonna wear this all the time? I thought you just had a bad haircut. So, anyways, so people had all kinds of assumptions. Okay, it's a celebration of something going on, or maybe like she's just gone crazy. Anyway,
I
but
love that
when I
story.
went out for lunch, I was like, I came out and I came back from lunch, and I said to people that everybody was looking at me. Everybody was staring at me. So like, everybody was like, judging me or just like looking at me. Everybody was staring at me and turning their head. And but that was the only day I ever felt that. So then later on, I remembered this, that how I was feeling that day. And I'm like, now it's been like a month or more, and now I'm just used to wearing it all the time, and I'm not thinking about who's looking at me or not looking at me.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, so if people were looking at me that day, then people must be looking at me today as well, because people outside don't know it's my first day of wearing it.
Yeah,
People at a cafe don't know this is my first day. And
exactly.
now
Yeah.
I definitely don't feel that everybody's staring at me. So, that was just in my head that everybody was looking at me.
Yeah.
Probably, nobody was.
Just being self-conscious, I think.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
It
So I
happens
guess
to me when I wear something out of the ordinary. Like if I'm wearing a different outfit and I'm like, why is everybody staring at me? Do I look funny?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And most of the time, what people are just thinking about is their own selves. Is everybody
Yeah,
looking at me?
that's so true. Or they might be looking at you because you look good, and it's just so hard to tell because we can't see the text bubbles above the head, on what they're thinking.
Yeah.
But maybe
Good,
always just,
alhamdulillah, we can't
yeah.
see it.
Alhamdulillah. Yeah.
I don't think I want to know every thought in everybody's head.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ignorance is
alhamdulillah.
bliss.
Um,
Nice to not know.
um, do you have non-Muslim friends, and how do they react to you wearing hijab?
Right. So in my school, I mixed with a lot of people who were mainly from the Indian and Desi background, like brown people mainly. I can say brown because I'm brown as well. So Nothing racist there, guys. So yeah, mixed with a lot of brown people, and which were mainly from non-Muslim backgrounds. So during my school days, I did have a lot of non-Muslim friends and Muslim friends also who were like, from Afghan, Pakistani backgrounds, which I spent time with sometimes, not as much. But yeah, their reaction, well, they didn't see me before without the hijab. I did have a few photos on my Facebook when they added me without my hijab. So they were like, oh my God, you look so pretty. And without your hijab, why do you wear the hijab then?
Yeah.
So those are the only reactions I got. Other than that, I think that's very normal. A lot of people say that, like, you look pretty without your hijab. And it's true for every hijabi. And everybody looks pretty. So I guess it emphasizes the point more that you chose to cover up your beauty and for Allah, and that's just like it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Okay. So there's a couple of things came to my mind from that. One, so did you feel the peer pressure like from them, and did you ever feel like, yeah, I did used to look prettier before and now I don't look good? How did you deal with that?
Yes, I think I feel pretty in both, like with and without the hijab. And it's empowering to know that I choose who gets to see that pretty side of me, and who gets to see this. So like it sometimes, yes, as a teenager, because when I first wore the hijab, I was in high school, and as a teenager, yes, you do get the thoughts like, oh my God, she looks so pretty without the hijab. Why am I wearing? And that's all shaitan's whispers. It's not your own thoughts. It's shaitan's job to make you take it off. And he will try everything he can to do that. And so those thoughts that come in our head are not necessarily our own. Is not our own voice, it's his rather. So it's important that we understand this before we wear the hijab, that this is going to happen. We are going to get these thoughts and feelings that I might be missing out on things with the hijab and stuff. But like when you know that it's not your own voice, when you know your main purpose why you're wearing the hijab, it helps you to keep going, helps you to not listen to that voice. It helps you distinguish, separate that it's not you, it's the shaitan. So now you know that it's your enemy, and then you know that it's easier to get rid of those and ignore those thoughts.
Yeah. I just wanted to say one thing. So I remember I wore hijab not in my teen years. I was in my 20s, so it was easier for me in that sense than it would be for a teenager, because that's a bigger concern at that age. And your are changing anyways, so you're like really concerned which way is it going. I guess I don't know. Anyway, so when I was a teenager, I remember, this is nothing I guess not necessarily do with hijab, but I think if there is somebody listening out there and you are concerned about how you are going to end up looking more dull or boring or whatever, and you're not going to look nice, and there's a saying, beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder, and it's absolutely true. There is a standard of beauty that the world has said that's beautiful, and tomorrow it could be, I don't know, something really ugly turns to be beautiful, and then you're supposed to. Actually, there's a cool, I came across this video on YouTube long time ago, and it showed how different countries have different beauty standards. And so in Africa, for example, a lot of African countries, really fat women, very overweight women would be considered the most beautiful. Which is absolutely not true for West and so many other countries. So absolutely different standards of beauty that people said. Anyway, I remember when I was a young girl in my early teens, I had a mirror in my bathroom and a mirror in my room. And I heard this saying somewhere again. and I used to look at it like, the mirror in the bathroom, I don't know, maybe it was a lighting or something. But like, I look better in the mirror in my bedroom compared to the mirror in the bathroom. So then I was also studying physics at that time.
Wow.
And I was studying about lenses and the mirror and the reflection and all that. So I thought, okay, So, it's the lens, and the mirror, and the image is not the, why is my image not exactly the same in both mirrors? And then I said, okay, look, it is that it is definitely the lens with which you are looking, and so many other things, right? The light there impacts how you will end up seeing the image. So not everybody, so take it as a metaphor or a practical thing. My understanding of physics was of that, just learning lenses at that time. But I thought, okay, it's just the people who will see you as pretty will see you as pretty. People who see you as ugly, no matter how beautiful you look, they will see you as ugly.
That's
So
true.
doesn't really whether you put it on, don't put it on, what color clothes you wear, what makeup you do. It doesn't really, I don't think, matters in the end. In the end, it's the eye of the beholder.
Yeah,
And, then it's up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
exactly.
Shows
That's
you
the
as
biggest,
and how he sees you. So
exactly.
please him, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make you, lovable. Or, I mean, in the end, the reason people are concerned about external beauty is also just about that. I won't be loved by, I'm
Yeah.
not saying it's a male thing, but also even with their female friends,
Yes.
that the girls will judge me. And so we
That's so
earn the
true.
love
So
of
true.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and get the love of the people. Anyways, just wanted to mention that. Okay. Uh, how has your life changed after wearing hijab? Has it
How has
changed?
my time? Mhm.
Has it changed? Are there things you can't do anymore? Or do you feel more empowered, less empowered? In what ways has your life changed after wearing hijab?
Right. So I'm going to tell you guys a story. So like I said, the first time I wore the hijab properly, like with full determination and willingness, was the first day of my high school here in Australia when I first moved in here. And I was in year 10 at that time. So before that, I was in an all-girls school and it was in a Middle East country in Dubai. So I was not wearing the hijab that time. So when I came here, I started wearing the hijab. Now there are boys everywhere. Um, there are girls and boys. Like it's normal. It's a co-ed school. And then there was this classmate I had, Muslim, mashallah, and he started asking me, like, do you pray on time and all those things. Like, he started encouraging me to become a better Muslim. And I feel that conversation wouldn't have started without my hijab in the first place. So I think from there I started praying on time, learning more about Islam, and exploring my deen even more, getting answers to questions I've always had about the deen, and that made me even more firm in my deen. And I didn't think of this when I was wearing my hijab, but I think the hijab started the push towards the deen and getting stronger in my deen. So I think that's how the hijab has changed my life in a positive way. Yeah, it was the first step for me to my deen, alhamdulillah.
Right, mashallah. So that's really a very important point, because a lot of the time, and I've encountered this in students as well, that girls feel that first I have to be perfect in my in my behavior, and then, like, when I'm perfect externally, everything is perfect, then I can wear hijab, because I'm representing Islam. So if I wear hijab and I do anything wrong, then it's not just me, it's like all of Islam looks bad. That's But you are saying, firstly, actually hijab helped you become
Yes.
better, not the
I
other
think,
way.
yeah, because I think we are all in some or the other way, we all lack some sort of, there's some always a room for improvement in some aspect of our life. Even there's nobody who's perfect, and Allah is the most perfect. So as human beings, it is our nature to be imperfect. So someone who might not wear the hijab and someone who might wear the hijab, they might have their own shortcomings. They might have their own places where they can improve on, level up. So there's always somewhere where like every Muslim, even if you think they're the perfect example of a Muslim, they're not perfect. They're still a human being. So there's absolutely no way we can be perfect. So it's just important to take the first step and then just keep continuing from there.
Yeah. And even once you wear hijab, I mean, in the way you're dressing, that's also a long journey, isn't it?
Yeah, that's so true. So true.
That journey.
Sorry?
I said, did you have that journey, or were you perfect in the beginning? In the
No,
way
I
you
did have, yeah, I did have a journey. So my school uniform was like a skirt and shirt, right? For girls. And obviously I wouldn't want to show my legs with the hijab. So I would wear, those stockings. And I don't think I would ever wear stockings now, right?
Yeah.
Like so that is a completely different outfit change. Now I would wear like loose shirts, loose pants, which is completely comfortable, pajama standard because I love pajamas. And I wouldn't, wear things. I would still wear, before I would wear three-fourth sleeves. I would wear like the one that have net kind of like it wasn't the perfect to go with hijab. Sometimes my hijab wouldn't cover me completely. It would be like, just up to here, or just my hair would be covered, right? So that was a stage. Like it's important to know that, like you said, it's a journey. The outfit change happens throughout as you keep learning more and more. Some people go from hijab to niqab. Some people go from hijab to abaya. And for me, it was the same. I went into the abaya, and then slowly, like I said, the scooter incident happened. And so I stopped wearing the abaya. But alhamdulillah, now I still do wear something loose and covering. But I think there is this journey, and everybody goes on it. Everyone is at some point of the journey. So it's very like different for everybody. You might start off with loose clothes and move on into the abaya and anything. It's very unique journey for everybody.
Yeah. And it's just really, from what I understand what you're saying, is it's a step towards.
Yes.
So you take that step in whatever shape or form you can, even
That's
if it's
true.
just put a rag on your head and that's it, and you're not doing it all the time or whatever. You take one step, and there is a hadith actually, that you take one step towards Allah, and Allah will take 10 towards you. So
Love
you take
that.
and then Allah will make the path, inshallah, easier and easier for you. So you can take
100%.
And so like a lot of the time, I mean, I see a lot of judgment of girls coming to the masjid or in gatherings where they've hijab, but obviously there are other problems with maybe the way they're dressing, and so they're like, why are you wearing it? What's the point if you're wearing it and you're not behaving right? Or what's the point if you're not dressing modestly and you're wearing it? What's the point? You're doing so much makeup and you're not wearing.
Yeah, it's very common.
At least she's wearing it.
That's right.
She could easily take it off, and so many girls have taken it off because of that judgment.
Yes.
That
agree.
I know personally a girl who started wearing hijab, and then she started getting told, like, she still wears jeans, and she wears hijab, she wears jeans, and so she couldn't deal with that level of judgment from Muslims, and so she took it off. Not the best decision, but you can understand like the pressure we put her under, the community that should have been supporting her, when we start judging her.
Agree very much. And I think it's more prevalent in the Desi community when people expect perfection. Like
if that was I think that was a mix of Arabs. I don't think it's a Desi thing.
Oh, okay. I've faced it a lot as well, and I still do on my videos. People comment like, "You're showing your face. You might as well not wear the hijab." I'm like, what? And then there's this video where I have a vlog and it's in an ice skating rink, and I'm wearing pants because that's what I felt was the most warm outfit I had at that time to wear to the ice rink. And I put a vlog up there so that I can show people how I prayed at the ice rink. how I didn't miss my salah when I was there. I enjoyed my day at the ice rink, skating and stuff, and I still managed to pray. So that was the main point of the video. But there are people focusing on my outfit, saying that why are you wearing these jeans or pants, and it's important to understand that if you are the reason that someone takes off the hijab, how are you going to answer Allah on the day of judgment? How
Yeah.
and it's important to focus on the positive points on somebody, uplift them. There have been people who told me that I'm not covering enough and stuff like that. And I think from the perspective of point of view of hijabi, from it's it is expected that people will say those kind of things, and maybe we can see that as a room for improvement. We can take it as feedback, even if it is critical. We can't do anything in the way that they express their criticism. It's about how we take it. If we think that yes, maybe my hijab is too short, yes, maybe I can bring it down a little bit more, or I can extend my sleeve a little bit more, or okay, yeah, what they're saying is true, it is a bit see-through, my hair is being seen, or something like that. It's just we can sit down and think what the true meaning of what they're saying is, and then changing from there, not for them but for Allah, because those people are going to keep coming. People have different interpretations of hijab, people have different understandings of what needs to be covered, what needs to be shown, what can be shown. So in the end, do it for the sake of Allah. Make sure that if someone is guiding you in a good way or a bad way, you're still trying to see different places where you can improve, but for the sake of Allah.
Yeah, very good point. Very strong point. So I think one key point for everybody to really hear is, how will you answer Allah if you are responsible for that person taking their hijab off? And I like what you advised, like thinking from the point of view of the hijabi herself, that yes, people are gonna say stuff, and you can't stop that.
Yes.
But and it's not ideal. We don't want that to happen, but that is just another thing that you may have to face and be ready to face.
Yes.
I think it's less prominent and less of it now. Maybe I'm wrong. Because you are a public figure, you are on YouTube, so you probably have to face that a lot more. But I hope it's dying off. If not,
yeah,
really need.
Yes.
And when you hear somebody say that, just catch them, right? Don't be silent if you hear a girl being told off like that. But from the hijabi's point of view, I think a very key point that you made, that this is between you and Allah in the end. That's it. So if they are saying things, and I think of it like when as I think of the criticism. And if the criticism is going, it's the same as Riya, actually. So Riya is not just, I am doing it to show off.
Yes.
But it's also, I stopped doing it because I didn't want to show off.
Yes.
I didn't want to feel like I'm showing off. Anyway, like if you stop because of what they will say, or you did it because what they will say, it's still Riya, right? You're still doing it for them, not for Allah.
Good point. It's a very, very good point.
So it's a kind of a minor shirk there.
Yeah, the intentions matter.
You made them your boss there, right?
Yes.
So don't make them, your master in that.
So
this
true.
is a discipline in you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's it.
Very, very true. Love it.
Okay, so in your job wearing hijab, have you had any difficulties, or do you find it smooth running? And you were in IT, you mentioned?
Yes.
So anyways, in IT, you'll hardly find any women there. And now wearing hijab does not meet the stereotype of what a person in IT should look like.
Yes.
So how's your experience been there, and how have you dealt with that?
Yes. So alhamdulillah, when I first joined this corporate company, I had a mentor there, and mashallah, she's also hijabi. So it was like I had someone to look up to. I had someone to ask questions, who paved the path for me. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
So she was from the same university as me and same background, not yeah, like Desi background. So it was very nice to have an elder, like in someone like an elder sister who I can ask questions to, like, where do you pray and how do you ask for halal food here, and does anybody have a problem with the hijab and stuff like that. I feel, in fact, the hijab made it even easier for me to avoid things like handshakes with men. Like they would, if somebody put their hand out, hi, I'm so and so, and I'd be like, sorry, I don't shake hands with men. And it's like it's easy to say that it is part of my faith because of the hijab. Like it's like, oh, so you also wear the hijab as part of your faith. So it's like they start associating those things with you. It makes it easier versus if I didn't wear the hijab and I said, okay, I don't shake hands with men, they would still accept that. But I think it made me more confident to say, as a Muslim, because I am a Muslim, I wear the hijab, I'm a Muslim, so I'm a Muslim woman, I don't shake hands with men, etc. Like that. Like it paved the way for me to other things, to avoid other things. Gave me an identity, gave me this confidence to say, yes, I am a Muslim, and these are the things I identify as a Muslim. These are the things I don't do and don't do as a Muslim. So I think it helped a lot in my job, and I don't know if I've had any missed opportunities. Like I don't think, because I don't know about them, I don't know if I have any opportunities that were missed because of the hijab. But I think people love seeing a hijabi. I did a lot of talks. I did a lot of meeting clients and stuff, front-faced roles, as well as back-end roles, like working on the computer kind of roles. So I think a lot of people welcomed it. They were happy to see this new identity in the IT community and supported me a lot. Like I love it. It didn't hinder me in any way in my job. I don't think so.
Okay, good. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Okay, so Halima is asking, what is a good answer to the commonly asked question of why do you wear hijab? That is usually asked by non-Muslims. Of course, as Muslims, we know that it is a command of Allah, but many people are not satisfied with the answer.
Why we wear the hijab is, like you said, the main answer is because Allah told us to do that. And I think, for non-Muslims, I heard this as I attended this Dawah workshop, and in there we were told that whenever a non-Muslim asks you a question related to Islam, why do you eat halal food? Why do you pray 5 times a day? Or why do you wear the hijab? Or why do you do certain things as a Muslim? The best answer is because Allah told us. Why it is the best answer is because it is acknowledging that there is a God that we are accountable to, one Allah we are accountable to, and from, like, because non-Muslims don't believe in Allah, right? So for them to understand that we have this importance for Allah first, that is the first step. And then from there we can go on and tell them, like, it helps me. You can tell them the benefits. It helps me. It empowers me. It's my choice. This is who I am. I choose to do that, etc. I don't think we need to answer them. First of all, like, apart from these, we don't need to explain ourselves, because if they really wanted to understand, the best answer is what you said already, which is this is a command of Allah. Other than that, we don't need to convince them that why we're wearing a hijab. Other than, like, the way you can convince them is by being a good Muslim, is by letting them identify good things with you as a hijabi, like so that when they see another hijabi, they identify something positive with them as well, rather than just be a good human being with the hijab, or as a Muslim, just be a good human being. And that's the biggest thing. Like, we don't need to convince anybody.
Yeah, that's a very good point. That a lot of the time we make it our burden that you have to convince them. You have to convey to them. You don't have to convince them. You cannot convince them.
Yes.
You don't have power to convince them. And in fact, even Prophet Muhammad did not have that. His job was to convey not to convincing is, is hidayah. If Allah
Yes.
gives them hidayah, then they will be guided, inshallah. But
Inshallah.
that is up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and up to that, that individual, if they are on the path that Allah can guide, when Allah sends them guidance, they accept it or not. So in trying to convince, we are like looking for every single argument, and then like, oh, I was not convincing, it's not satisfying.
Yeah.
And then that can in fact start impacting our iman
Yes. 100%. Yes.
Well, this is not convincing.
Yeah. You start to doubt it yourself. So main reason is you're doing it for Allah. As long as you keep that as your main reason, that's it.
Yeah. And I think individually, I feel like for each woman, there might be lots of different reasons.
Yeah.
She chose to wear hijab. So starting, like, of course, number one still will be, actually maybe not, but for a lot of the women, it's going to be for the sake of Allah. That's it, I'm doing it. And then there will be lots of secondary reasons that maybe, she wanted to represent Islam, she was Muslim, she wanted to, be more modest, could be gazillions, or could be just fear. But yeah, if your reason, number one reason, is not that for the sake of Allah. And I know today, because hijab has become such a fashion, I remember I met a student who said she did start wearing hijab because everybody was wearing hijab. And then a few months she took it off, because when she went to school, she was not doing it for the sake of Allah, and she was doing it because everybody in her social circle was doing it. But when she went to school, and she started getting, comments about it, so she couldn't deal with it, and she took it off. So if my reason was to get, acceptance by my friends, as soon as I'm not getting that acceptance, I'm going to drop it.
Yes.
So Allah, I mean, she realized that her intention wasn't right. That, mashallah, was really good self-awareness on her part. She said, my intention wasn't right. And I didn't tell her all this. She reflected on that. My reason for wearing it was wrong. And I want to wait, like, I'm going to wear it and make sure my reason is right.
Yes.
So,
and nothing is permanent, like the only thing that is permanent is Allah. Allah is always there. But if we do it for the sake of, like you said, our friends, or if you're, for example, some people do it when they get married. They start wearing the hijab because their husband told them to, or they start wearing the hijab because their parents told them to, or because their school requires them to. Like, there are so many external reasons. And there's people who wear the hijab as part of the uniform to Islamic school, and then outside of that, they wouldn't do it. Because the main reason is Allah. Every other situation, every other factor can change. Like you said, if your friends go away, or you change your friends, or if your friends are not giving you that feeling of acceptance anymore, are you going to take it off? So that feeling that you're doing it for Allah is going to remain permanent. That Allah is never going to leave you. So if you're doing it for Allah, like, that is just going to help you keep going.
Yeah, very true. And I just also want to add, if you did start wearing it for some other reason, it doesn't mean you take it off now.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so like, okay, now I should take it off and make sure my intention is right, and then put it on again. No, that's what we are saying. Keep it on, right? Just renew your intention.
Yes.
Revive it right at this moment, just like from this second onwards. It's that. And if you feel like, no, I don't know if it's right now, it doesn't matter. Just keep wearing it, right? Maybe it will help you. Don't stop doing it, and in fact, you keeping it on right then for it inshallah will be that I kept it on for the sake of Allah.
Love it.
So don't worry about it. Don't take it off because of, you might feel like I only did it because mom said so.
Yes.
Even if you did it for that reason, alhamdulillah, your mom guided you, and inshallah, so that it becomes easier for you now. Okay, I see that you haven't experienced it at work. Have you ever, outside of work, had any incidents where you felt prejudiced because of your hijab, and any kind of bullying or abuse or anything like that? And how did you deal with it, if you did?
Yeah. So I have faced it in the public space before, in a supermarket and on the road once, both by women, non-Muslim women. I don't think, yeah, I might have faced it by non-Muslim
Muslim
male
women?
on, yeah, no, non-Muslim.
Non-Muslim.
And yeah, so once it was like an old lady calling me and my brother some random names in her own language, because we were playing around in front of the supermarket in front of Coles, in the local shopping center. And I don't know, maybe we were being a nuisance, but she kept pointing at my hijab, and I was like, whoa, okay. I look like a kid. My brother looks like a kid. We're just kids. We're just, enjoying ourselves. Okay, fine. We may be a hazard to people, but you can be a bit nicer about it. I think having the hijab may have provoked her even more. People like you are blah, 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 those, I don't know what she was saying because it was not in English. And second incident this was more about the niqab than the hijab. Is I've shared this story with my audience before. It's like me and my mother were walking down the street on a very cold winter night, winter evening. It was before sunset, I think. So it was still like kind of bright like this. So I was like, I was like this because it was very cold. I wanted to cover it was so cold. I didn't want to breathe in any cold air and stuff. So I think it was like bringing this part inside and tucking it in. And my mother did the same as well. So we were both like niqabis walking down the street, looking all cool and stuff, right? Until another lady comes from the other side. She's crossing the road and she's like, why are you guys covering your faces, huh? Are you ugly or something like that? And I think in slow motion, okay, this is very dramatic. In slow motion, I take off my niqab and I'm like, then she's like shocked. Ooh, she's not ugly. And then like, yeah.
Someone is ugly. I'm really ugly.
Yeah. And then she's like, no, it's cold. I told her, no, it's cold. It's like simple. I just explained my face was covered because it was cold. And she kept quiet and she said, now we had to turn. She's still walking towards us. And then she's quiet and she's like thinking, okay, what did I say and stuff. And then when we turned into the other street, I just processed what happened. That was like, that is a racist comment. So and I'm not going to see that lady ever again. So it made it a point to yell out saying racist. Like I said it so that she understands what she said was racist. She because I didn't have a time to go and explain anything to her, tell her this is the hijab, this is the niqab, this is part of her faith, etc. I could have done that if I had more one-on-one time with her, but she was a passerby. I was going somewhere else. And if I didn't, calling it out, that comment, calling it as racist, was important at that time, so that when she goes home or whatever, she can ponder upon it and say, like, was that actually a racist comment? Why did she call me racist? And then maybe she would not do it again. That's my positive outlook on it, hopefully, if that's what happened. That was an incident. And another incident on the train, public transport, metro. It's a very crowded train. I'm sitting down and there's this one guy in front of us. I don't know if he was mentally unstable, but he was just like randomly mumbling stuff loudly. And then he started saying something about Aladdin's magic carpet and stuff. And I was like, is that directed towards me? Because I don't know what you're talking about. But it's okay. If you want to associate my hijab with the magic carpet and all that stuff, it's actually cool.
Yeah, we'll take you to Jannah.
Yeah, the magic carpet to Jannah. I love it. So those are the few incidents that happened. I don't think it has impacted me in like permanently. It was more of a temporary once off in the moment kind of situations, which I can ignore because I'm never going to see those people ever again. But it is important to be able to call it out when it happens, and when you can, when it's safe to. Because obviously on the train, I preferred to not respond to that guy in any way or manner, just continue reading the book I was reading or just scrolling on my phone. Everybody was present. They could see that person is mentally unstable. She's just randomly saying random stuff, and it's best not to interact with them in that moment. But when you know that somebody is stable, intellectual, and they're saying something that comes from a perspective of hate or misunderstanding or ignorance, at that point, if you can call it out to someone who you think is going to understand, then do it. Like when I said that, told that lady that what she said is racist. And in the first incident, that lady wouldn't speak English, and anything I would say would just not work. So I just chose to, just be shocked, because that was the first time it happened. I was shocked. And then my parents were around, they were shopping. I was just waiting with the shopping trolley at that time. And so when she went away, I told my parents. They were like, it's okay, just leave those kind of people. That was comforting for me as well. Alhamdulillah, like it is important to have someone you can go back to and share these things, so that you feel lightened as well. But yeah, there's a very small incidence.
Yeah. I think that's a key point. Go and share it with somebody. So if there is something in your heart, it doesn't keep bothering you. So it might be a friend, it might be your parents, and share it with the right person who can give you the right advice.
Yes.
That inshallah might be, most of us will be our parents. So with friends, you got to be careful depending on your friends.
Yes.
Make that decision, inshallah. Lots of people are asking on Facebook and here as well, what's your channel name? So it's Bliifee Muslim Life Hacks. Okay, maybe I'll put the link up later on, inshallah. So a couple of follow-ups I had to that. One is you mentioned that there is, when we talked earlier, you were mentioning, I can't remember what's the term you used, but you talked about that even when you are denied some, when you miss out on something because of your culture, that's also part of discrimination. If you can explain on that.
Indirect discrimination.
Indirect discrimination, right? You can tell the audience that so they are aware.
Sure. So in Australia, it's part of the law that discrimination in any way or form is illegal, and that can be indirect discrimination as well. So indirect discrimination is when the person is not intending to be to discriminate you in any way. So for example, so I learned this in a Muslim leadership program for young Australian Muslims recently last year. And in that, they were explaining like our rights as a Muslim and stuff. Alhamdulillah, that program is amazing. If you guys come across any Islamic leadership programs, do it. Okay, so in that, we learned that in Australia, we have this law, and indirect discrimination can be, for example, if you're working in an office and they have meetings at prayer times, right? That is indirect discrimination because they did not consider your cultural aspect, your cultural priorities, religious priorities to pray. So if in that case, if that happens, it is important that you tell them like, hey, look, I can't attend that meeting because it clashes with my prayer timings. And in that case, they have to make arrangements for you. Like, okay, we're going to move the time a bit, move the time of the meeting, or yes, you can take a 5-minute prayer break if you need to, etc. That is when they resolve the problem. Another example can be if there's alcohol at parties and you're only alcohol, like if there's no juice, if there's no water and it's only alcohol and you're invited to that work party, that is indirect discrimination because they're not considering that they have employees who are attending and they have this requirement to not have alcohol on them. So that is indirect discrimination. But whenever that happens, it's important we call it out. It's important we address it, not just assume that everybody knows about it. Because Australia is a very, very multicultural country. We have very different cultures, religions, people of different backgrounds, faiths. So it's kind of hard to know about everybody. So just make sure you're confident about yourself, your identity, and you're able to express it when you need to. And people might not always mean it when it happens. So when you tell them about it, it's a chance to educate them about your deen and about your requirements as well. So indirect discrimination happens and it is illegal in Australia. So when you see it, talk about it.
Yeah. And yeah, I think one key thing you mentioned there is you should be confident about it, that
Yes.
a lot of the time people are just kind of so apologetic or shy, or feel like we have to, same thing, I have to convince them that we are
Yeah.
right, that we just start just compromising on, actually, where your counterparts who are of a different race will never compromise on
Yeah.
things like, and which is actually, I was of the same attitude as well, that okay, I just compromise whatever. They're not going to understand. But then I saw how these, how white people
Yes.
would behave, and they would not compromise on any kind of unfairness
Yeah.
being to them. So why should you? Right?
That's true.
Just stand up for yourself. In fact, you're doing the right thing. And actually, that reminds me, the person was asking about them convincing them about hijab. Actually, you don't need to convince them; they need to convince you
Yeah.
that you have to take off your hijab to, like, So if somebody says to you, "Why do you wear it?" you just say, "Why not?
Yeah.
Why should I
Yeah.
not wear it?
Yes.
Isn't this better?"
Yeah.
Than me conforming to, I'm conforming to God. Is why should I conform to what you want me to conform?
Society.
Why?
Yeah.
So, don't be defensive. Most of the time we are defensive, but they should be the ones defending themselves, not us.
Yes. Yes. And
And
it's important to be confident again in that time so that you're
yeah,
not swayed away by their
yeah.
opinions.
And more than anything, you are going to say 1,000 arguments. That confidence might attract you to your deen, our deen,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
That you are so strong in it. So just focus on that. That I don't need to convince you. You have to convince me if you think that's right.
Yeah.
Um, the other thing I wanted to ask is that so when you do face these I mean, okay, so there's this attitude, I mean, we talked about it earlier a little bit, but a lot of girls would feel that I have to represent Islam. Do you see it as a burden that I'm out there now, I'm representing it, and if I behave wrongly, then this non-Muslim is going to take that impression of Islam, of Muslims, more so than a woman who doesn't wear hijab, or a man, um, that they see like you are a very pious, that's the impression they have of you. You are a practicing pious Muslim woman. That's what Muslim is like, more than
Yeah.
anybody else. So
Yeah.
if you misbehave a tiny bit, then for the rest of their lives they will know Islam is that.
Yeah. I think it's important to just be yourself, and being yourself as a Muslim. You don't really necessarily have to emphasize anything when you're out in front of non-Muslims. Just be yourself. Like if you want to pray, go pray. If you want to go eat halal, go eat halal. And being a good Muslim is about having a good personality, being kind, showing the deen just by your character. And it's as a human, we will always have some shortcomings. Again, we might do some mistake, and it's important to people can combine your Islam and your character. So that's just how this human psychology works. They're just going to combine it. But in the end of the day, just be yourself. There's no responsibility on you to, you know, be a sheikh or alima or something like that. And when you're wearing the hijab, just be a good Muslim. That's all. Even whether you wear the hijab or not, whether you're a person with a beard or not, whatever you do, just be a good Muslim first, I think.
Yeah. So I mean, in character, just be kind to them, and
Yeah.
bring in your character, and I mean, the entire religion cannot be summed up by
Yes.
your character, no matter
Yes.
how great your character is.
Yeah. And some people might just keep wanting to find the flaws in Islam through you. But
Yeah.
you can't prevent that. There are just people who are made their life job to do that.
Yeah.
So it's important to identify that. It's important to not be with them so that you're not influenced negatively with that. Be with in company of other Muslims who know your Islam, who, and just it's important. This is just basic general advice for whether you're a Muslim or not, hijabi or not. Being a good human is the main foundation, so that people can see you as a human being, not as a hijabi. Like, yes, you're a human being who wears a hijab, but in the end, you're a human being, and they see you as a person with good qualities, good akhlaq, good character, and all those things. Then later on, if they want to combine that with Islamic characteristics and personality, that's up to them. But as a person, just be yourself and be a good Muslim. If that makes sense.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khair. If anybody would like to ask any questions, this is your last chance. And once again, such Asma's channel is Bliifee Muslim Hacks. I'll put the link with the post, inshallah, for those who are interested later on. But I think you can Google with that easily. Bliifee.
Yes.
Just Google that. It's really fun videos.
Thank
really
you.
useful, practical advice, inshallah, for a lot of things. So, Jazakallah khair, Sister Asma, for this wonderful time, wonderful knowledge and experiences you shared with us. Inshallah, I hope it inspires the listeners. And do share with us your feedback.
Inshallah, yeah.
And Sister Khadija is asking, what age should we impose girls to do hijab? I don't know, Asma, if you want to answer that. It's okay if you don't.
Islamically, it is important for the girls to start wearing the hijab when she starts maturing, when she gets her first period. She's a woman. But I think in the society, first, when we wear the hijab and the little girls will see that, they will want, little girls like to copy elder girls and their mothers and stuff. So being a good hijabi, first of all, is, I think, the first step. That's when your children will also learn about the hijab first. And then rather than learning about the hijab from non-Muslims and stuff, learning about the hijab from you by seeing who you are. And then they will want to copy it themselves. I mean, it's I don't know if there'll be any moment when a child will not want to copy you. Children will copy you and just being a good example of a hijabi yourself first, and then educating about the hijab, why we wear it, what its significance, importance is, we wear it for Allah, etc., etc. Just educating them about that, and then they will be ready by the time they hit puberty. Either they have already started wearing the hijab, or they would want to start wearing the hijab at that time because they're educated. So don't leave it up to that point that they have to discover it for themselves, although they can. That's how I discovered the hijab after puberty, after a few years into my teenage years, and alhamdulillah, now my family wears a hijab and everything. It's like, so, but it's important to first be the hijabi that your others can look up to.
Yeah. And the earlier you can start, the better. The goal,
Yeah.
I mean, the younger they are, the easier it is for them to get used to it. That's just what I wear. And the older they are, the more self-conscious they're becoming. So then bringing on a change becomes harder in their dressing style. That, that's why for teenagers, it's so much harder because they're so much more self-conscious of everybody else. For a 9-year-old, a 10-year-old, it's much easier to get them to wear it. And you might still have problems later on in their teenage years, but it will be lesser, inshallah, because at least they're used to it. I know teenagers who have worn it since they were 7, but now they're teenagers and they're like, but why do I wear it? Because it was the parents' decision, but that's fine. They're at least used to it. It's part of their dress. They're protected. So, Allah has told us to do it. And not just because, it's a test of our Emaan, but it's also obviously a protection for us from things that we can't even think of, right? So I'm not going to start listing reasons here, but I know that if Allah has told me to do it, then that's what's best for me, and it will protect me from gazillions of harms. So if you want to protect your daughter, then do it as early as possible. So it's easier for her. I also wore it much later on. And, when I wore it in my 20s, as I said, and actually it took me like 6-7 years from when I decided at 19, and then it took me like 6 years to actually wear it. And I really struggle. Like there was a point I would go to work and I would cry in the car that I'm still going to work without wearing it. So I struggle with a lot of guilt and not. So I wouldn't want that for any girl. So yeah, she gets to make her own choice, but I don't want those 10 years of not wearing it and harms that it brings and all that kind of stuff. Like you talked about, Asmaa, how your hijab protected you. Like you don't have to shake hands. Easy. I can just say, look at that. And a lot of people will anyways become more conscious that, okay, I have to behave differently here. So many things. So start as soon as you can. Next question is also the same. From what age to wear? From what age should niqab start? And is it mandatory to wear niqab?
I follow the opinion that niqab is not mandatory. And there's InshaAllah Dr. Zakir Naik on YouTube. There are many points he mentions, and I agree with those points. If just Google Zakir Naik about niqab, and there are debates that come up. There are talks that come up about him giving those points about niqab, and I completely agree with them. Also, at the same time, I respect anybody who chooses to wear the niqab for whatever reasons, for deen Islamic reasons or personal choices. It's I respect both of them, but I'm of the opinion that it's not fard.
Yeah, and I completely agree with her. Okay, Jazakallah khair. Okay, once again, it's almost closing up, and we got these questions once again.
No, that's okay.
Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much for your time today. Allah reward you immensely, and we look forward to hearing your feedback. And those of you who watch later as well, do let us know in the comments if you benefited. I'd love to hear from you. Okay, assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Thank you so much for having me, and for everybody who watched, thank you so much for coming. Jazakumullah khairan.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum